Wow, we're going live. Here we go. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Well, well, that was a weird, chaotic Monaco Grand Prix, wasn't it? Holy God. Very interesting, I have to say. I was hooked on it, guys. It was really good. Especially, what I actually was really interested in, before we get into all the details here, I loved the strategy. Now, it didn't pay off, obviously, for Alonso. The strategy was good. It was simple. Just stay out ahead of Verstappen as long as you can. But we'll go into that in more detail. And that's what really got my attention for the Monaco Grand Prix, I have to admit, this weekend. It was very, very good. Very interesting. And it was quite a good, clever, simple pit stop strategy. You know? So anyway, like I said, we'll get into that more. But let's just take a look at the qualifying, huh? Jesus. Perez had his crash into the wall. Oh, that must have hurt him, I gotta say. You know, he's coming second in the championship. And I'm just gonna get up the points there now, guys, on my laptop, on my desktop here. So, but yeah, that was... Man, I felt bad for him. I mean, I'm not really a fan of Perez's at all. But I felt for him on that one. It's tough. And look, hey, drivers make mistakes. Simple as that, you know. And it was obviously, that was a great thing for Verstappen and Alonso. And I think if you've seen the qualifying, if you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. It was very exciting at the end. Very exciting. You know, and Alonso did make the mistake of not being the last car on the track. He had to have been the last car on the track. It's the only way it could have happened. You know, because if you're the last car on the track, when the clock turns to 0, like, you really want to be crossing the finish line at 1 second to go before the qualifying's over. Now, that's very, very challenging and very tricky to do, but like, that would be the ideal scenario, because then you're the last car to go past, right? And there's only one more car to do a qualifying lap, and guess who it is? It's you, because you're last. And there's more tire grip on the track. So therefore, technically, and most cases it is, the track is going to be quicker. So that's why you always want to position yourself as the last man to pass that flag. And unfortunately, he wasn't. So, you know, look, it was a really good qualifying. I mean, in fairness, it was great to see Alonso stick it on pole, bang, and then, boom, Verstappen comes in. It was just under a 1/10 of a second, so it was close enough. Close enough. I mean, 1/10 of a second around Monaco is still a lot of time. But, yeah, it was good. It was good. And poor old Leclerc. I mean, this guy just has the worst luck, doesn't he? Oh man, I mean, he's a nice guy. He just has horrendous luck with things. Now, what the hell was he doing in the tunnel? You know, like, what happened, guys? He got a 3-place penalty for the race. So he did his fast lap. He was slowing down. He was just obviously taking it easy, coming back into the pit lane. And Norris caught up with him in the tunnel in Monaco. And Leclerc held him up. Now, I gotta give it to Leclerc. He's not one of those guys that would deliberately do that to another driver. He's not. He's a good, clean racer. A really fair guy too. You know, and I love that about him. I admire that about him. You know, and quite honestly, we should all be like that as race drivers. You know what I mean? You should all have respect for everybody else out there. And it was really, you know, so bottom line here, guys, he did make the mistake of holding up Norris, so it affected Lando Norris's qualifying lap. So obviously Norris is going to go slower, right? So the thing is, he got a 3-place penalty. That really sucked for him. But you know, hey, that's the sport, and that is sports really in general, isn't it? Okay, the race itself. Well, whoa, talk about chaos, guys, huh? Talk about chaos unleashing on the 52nd or 53rd lap. I mean, the rain came, and it was like a meltdown of all the teams. Like, it's like they all melted down. The drivers, like, they were on slick tires, dry tires, and they were going around the track, and Jesus, I mean, I gotta admit, you know, that's hard. It's really hard in those conditions, because you're still on dry tires in a wet track. And the problem was, what the start was, is that a lot of the other remaining parts of the track, so like the front of the track was actually dry, and then out the back, right, was actually wet. So that's a problem too. So you don't know what to do. Now, this is where unfortunately Alonso had his boo-boo. But we'll get to that anyway in a second. I thought it was interesting, and you know, guys, it's really good when you look at the technology of Formula 1. Like, during the start of the race, okay, Verstappen got a good start. Alonso was in second, so they remained. Now, really, that was Alonso's moment to get a really, really good start. Because if he did take first into the first corner, it would have been very hard for Verstappen to overtake. Like 97%, probably maybe even more, 98% chance that you ain't overtaken, buddy. No way on this earth, you know. I think, well, Alonso, he had a bit of an incident at turn 1. Did you see that, guys? Jesus, I thought it was all over at one stage. He just went just a little wide, coming out of turn 1, nearly hit the wall. I mean, Jesus, most of the drivers hit the fucking wall this weekend. It was carnage, absolute carnage out there, guys. Jesus. But speaking of the technology of Formula 1, like Alonso, during the first part of the race, he thought he was picking up a puncture, and he radioed back to the team saying, "Hey guys, look, do I have a puncture?" So I don't know what absolutely happened. Hopefully we'll get some more news update on that. Maybe he had something wrong with the car. Didn't look like it. He looked like he had a good lap time and good pace in general. So I don't think it was. But the technology of Formula 1, guys, like the team know if there's a problem with a flat tire when the driver's out there. Like, the technology is that good. They'd be able to tell Alonso, confirm whether there actually is a puncture or not. So it's brilliant. The technology is fascinating. And you should check out the F1.com, guys. And you know what? You can even YouTube this stuff too. Like, a lot of documentaries on the technology of Formula 1. You find a lot of stuff on YouTube, you know? And I would just put in a search like the technology of Formula 1. Something as simple as that. You definitely find a lot there. Okay, so I'm going through my my notes here. So, good strategy, I thought it was, from Alonso. It was definitely the way to play this, no doubt about it. Unless you get a really good start, maybe your strategy will change. So if you saw the race, you may or may not have noticed. So Alonso started on the hard tires, Verstappen on the medium. So what that told me straight away is that, look, if he doesn't get him at the start, which he didn't, look, Verstappen got a really good start, as well as Alonso. So, you know, it's the way it is sometimes. So what that tells me is they were thinking, okay, look, let's try and get him at the start. If we don't, we'll try and get him in the pit stop. So they were going to run a longer phase, right? A longer run phase, whichever you call it, at the start. And then hopefully then they'd have Verstappen to come into the pit lane earlier than him. So when Verstappen would come in, Alonso would keep going because he's got the harder tire, right? Now the harder tire is much better to go a long distance. Technically, it's a slower tire. So hard to know around Monaco how much slower. I mean, it's probably worth a half a second versus the two tires, medium versus the hard, and soft versus medium. You know, so I think it was the best strategy they had. They needed to do something like that, you know, get him on the pit stops. So I like their style. I like the way they were trying to plan this. Now, of course, look, as the race went on, and as we'll talk about now in a minute, it didn't go according to plan. But hey, you know, it did start off well for Alonso. I think like his distance to Verstappen was looking good. Like, normally, guys, it's about a 20 to 22 second pit stop time. As in, you'd add on an extra 20 seconds on your lap time if you're making a pit stop. So he was at it, like, I think it was at 9.5 or a 10-second lead. It was kind of fluctuating up and down. But the good thing is that Alonso kept the gap at a reasonable pace and a reasonable level, which was really good because, you know, Verstappen at the end of the day, he's on the medium, so he was able to break away early, which was great for him, of course, because he's on the medium tire. But then you see as you go along, the harder tire is going to keep the endurance, right? It's an endurance tire more so than the medium or the soft. So therefore, when Verstappen's tires were going off, Alonso would have had the advantage back. So it was great for Alonso. And again, that was the clever part of the strategy too. They knew that the tires would come to them and the tires would fall off Verstappen. Now, you could obviously see Verstappen wanted to stay out in the track longer. He wanted to keep the pace, stay out as long as he can, and because then maybe Alonso would have pitted then. And then if Verstappen could have got a jump on him, an advantage. So it was very interesting. Now, I like Aston Martin's style. It didn't work out for them today, but I think what we're going to see is a couple of more interesting races where, you know, Aston Martin, they could make some good moves here. I think they're going to struggle with the rest of the year, and except for shorter tracks. Now, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But, like, Jesus. Like Carlos Sainz, he had that crash or collision. He took off the front part of the wing. And what the hell was he going? Why did he keep going? I don't get that. Like, surely the team would have, like I said, they've got sensors all around the car. And they should have told him, right? Now, it mightn't have actually taken away anything from his race pace. But I mean, the thing was fucking nearly hanging off. So I don't understand what Ferrari were doing. You know, Ferrari's been making quite a few mistakes, man. Pit lane wise, strategy wise, over the last few years. I mean, you'd see that in Drive to Survive now, guys, where last year, you know, they go into it a bit more detail, but I don't know what's going on with these guys. I really don't. It's bizarre. Anyway, let's move it on. And you know, Carlos Sainz, he had that debris fall off on the track. And I gotta give it to poor old Hamilton. He went straight over it. Nothing he could do. It was not Hamilton's fault. He just saw that he was right behind. He was going at about 160 mile an hour going up that straight, up the hill. And yeah, he couldn't avoid it. But hey guys, you know, it does happen. Now, Perez. What the hell is up with this kid, man? Like, I've got no problem with Perez. But, I mean, did you hear him, guys? He was bitching and moaning on the radio twice. Like, let me just go through it. So, like, he was trying to blame Stroll, right? And he went on the radio, he's trying to push me off. He's trying to push me off. No, he didn't. Where are you getting this, man? We could see it. From your driver's point of view, it was clear as day he didn't try and take you off or push you off into the barrier. Stroll's not like that. I think Stroll is a good, clean driver, and he's aggressive. He's good quality driver. I like him. And Perez, you know, I'd rate him too. Well, to a degree, but I'd still rate him. All right. But and you know, and he's bitching on the radio, and then what happens next? So then he hits the Magnussen. He hits the Haas car of Magnussen, Kevin Magnussen, and then he's bitching that Magnussen brake tested him. Magnussen didn't brake test him. They were coming out of the chicane, and the incident happened where he hit into, right, the Haas when they were exiting the chicane. So where the exit is, that's where you're getting on the accelerator, right? So you're not slowing down, stopping. And Magnussen's not like that. He wouldn't brake test you coming out of the chicane. Right? And hey, maybe if we take a closer look, maybe I'm wrong. But I honestly don't think the guy's brake testing you coming out of the fucking corner, man. Perez just got a better run out of the corner, to be fair to him. And he just happened to accelerate right into the back of Magnussen. And you know, and he's bitching, he's brake testing me. No, he didn't, man. Like, I don't know, do you fear your job's at risk here? And you're going to look like a schmuck? And then therefore Red Bull are going to fire you or something? I don't understand, dude. I don't understand where this is coming from. Very strange, guys. Very strange. And then, we get to... Holy shit. In the lap 50s. My God, the rain comes down. Sweet Lord Jesus. I've actually got my notes here now. Let me just bring these up here, guys. So, as the rain starts to come down, now they're all on slicks. And what happens? The rain comes down, it's going to get really, really slippy, of course. So Verstappen ends up hitting the barrier. Now he kept going. Lucky boy. Very lucky boy. Jesus, I think he actually hit the wall like 3 or 4 times. Like, it's good. And he hit the wall in qualifying yesterday as well. Jesus Christ, what are you up to, Verstappen? I mean, the hairpin and Poitiers corner, if I'm pronouncing that right, that was soaking. So, like, it was very, very... And I'll give it to all the F1 drivers there. In those conditions, it's brutal. It's tough, guys. I've been in it many times myself. I mean, 1 mile an hour extra that you shouldn't be going, you're in the barrier or you're off into a gravel trap. I mean, they are incredibly hard conditions. So, you know, I got respect to any drivers that just keep it going in those kind of, especially in Monaco. Very tough. I mean, like, Sainz and Leclerc, they went off. Jesus, Sainz was lucky he didn't ride the car off. Didn't he go into the corner just after Casino corner, I think? The casino itself. And Lance Stroll on Inter hits the barrier. Jesus, like, Lance Stroll had one hell of a race, guys. Did you see the amount of incidents he almost got into? Like, and at the start as well, didn't Stroll, he, like, on the first lap, it was dry at this stage, obviously, and he nearly hit into Logan Sargent, the American guy, at the hairpin, and he went up the outside of him with, like, only a half a gap. I don't know what he was thinking. Like, really, like, because, look, I know things can happen really fast. I get that too, believe me, I know from racing, things can happen very, very quick. But there wasn't a gap. There wasn't a gap at all for him to get through. Unless he was hoping to dear God that Sargent was going to pull over more onto the left. It was very risky. Jesus. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I mean, let's close this off. I mean, it was an entertaining Grand Prix, especially from lap 50 on, guys. So if you haven't seen it yet, check out the highlights on YouTube. Brilliant carnage. I mean, nearly every driver nearly hit the fucking wall. You know, it was one of those races. I mean, unfortunately for my boy Alonso, his gamble didn't pay off. I have to admit. Well, first I'll say the results, guys. Spoiler alert coming up if you haven't seen it yet. I'm about to call the results. Verstappen wins, Alonso second, and Ocon third. And we'll talk about Ocon in a minute. But I gotta say, I was quite disappointed. Alonso's my favourite. And if you've been listening to my Formula 1 podcast, guys, from the start of the year, how many times have I said it? But before we got to Monaco, how many times have I kept saying, if Alonso's got a chance to win any races this year, it's going to be somewhere like Monaco, because it's the good balance in the car, tight, twisty track. And then even Alonso confirmed that last week on Formula1.com, the website. Check that out as well, guys. I know I always say that. It's a great website for all the updated information, you know? It really is. They do a good website there. And even Alonso came on last week saying that if they've any chance of winning anything, it's at places like Singapore, Monaco. Even though I don't know about Singapore, I see where he's going with this. It's slow, it's tight, twisty, stop-start, right? And it's a street circuit like Monaco, but I think actually they might struggle a bit more in Singapore because Singapore seems to be a lot bumpier. Now, unless they do something... I'm sorry, guys, excuse me. Unless they actually do something with the track this year, where if they resurface it now, you know, we don't know until we actually get to that weekend. But I actually think they're going to struggle a lot more when they get to Singapore. It won't be as easy as Monaco, but maybe I might be wrong, and I hope I am wrong on that one, by the way. I think they're going to do well at Austria, at the A1 ring. And unfortunately, that's Red Bull's home track, so, you know, they're going to be lightning around that place. But I think Alonso's going to be fast there because it's kind of like a stop-starty track, not as much as Monaco, but I think with the balance, and it's a smooth surface track, so I think it's going to really help the Aston Martin. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be very, very interesting to see. And somewhere like Hungary as well, Budapest, the track there, I think they'll go really well. I'm disappointed a bit, I gotta say now. Fuck it, I'm saying it straight out. I'm really disappointed with Alonso's reaction after the race. He looked happy. Like, guys, where's the killer attitude? Where's the killer instinct? It's do or die. There is no tomorrow. It is life or death. It is everything or nothing. You know, high stakes. Where was the winning attitude? If that was me, I would have been pissed off that we fucked it up. I would have been pissed off that we fucked it up, because they only have about 2 or 3 shots this year, I genuinely think. And even Alonso said that as well on Formula1.com last week. Right? I think they've only got about 3 shots this year. Hopefully I'm wrong, because I want to see Alonso win. But I would have been pissed after that race. I really would have, because we blew our shot. Now, I know the Red Bulls are incredibly strong, so you're up against it anyway. But, you know, they had a good shot. They had a good shot. Now, look, the rain too, that came into it. I mean, look, how could he have improved? Well, he could have got a better start. I mean, Alonso needed the start of his life today, right? I'm recording this today on Sunday, guys, just after the race, so he needed the start of his life, and he didn't do it. Now, look, it can be hard to execute too, you know, and he did get a good start, so don't get me wrong, he didn't fuck it up. He got a very good start, but Verstappen got a very good start also. And, you know, and they could have, well, if it didn't rain, they could have got Verstappen. And then we see the problem with Alonso. And, you know, I'm going to be a little bit easy on him in this part here, where Alonso, when the rain came down, Alonso came into the pit lane. He was going to try and jump Verstappen. And fair enough, I get that. What happened, though, he went on slicks, though. He went on the fucking slicks. Whereas the rain was coming down. Now, to be fair to Alonso here as well, the rain wasn't coming down that hard yet. So again, it was hard for them to judge. But then the rain did come down about one lap later. So guess what? Alonso comes in. He's in, I think it was the next lap, or maybe 2 laps afterwards. But he was in again the pit stop within 2 fucking laps. So, look, I'll go easy on them a little bit. I just wouldn't have been as happy as the team were at the end of the race. I just wouldn't have. You know, second's no good to you. Third's no good to you. Unless you're in a position where you're winning the championship. And hey, you don't risk getting knocked off the track going for the win if all you got to do is sit in second position for the championship, right? Totally different scenario. So, yeah, I was disappointed, man. You know, it's do or die. It's everything or nothing. There is no tomorrow, and that's it. Now, look, he's in his 40s. Maybe he just enjoys it now, you know? Maybe he's not lost the killer instinct, because you never lose it. I just think maybe he is just not as hungry anymore. He's just, you know, he knows he's got maybe one or two years left, and he's just enjoying the races more. You know, he's like appreciating them more. Maybe. But it's certainly nothing to do with his actual age, guys. It's he's in his 40s, so he's fucked. No. He's lost it because I think the hunger. He's just enjoying it more, a little bit. He's a little bit more relaxed, enjoying it a bit more. But we're lacking a bit of killer instinct now from Alonso, I have to say. And, you know, don't get me wrong, guys. Look, hey, it was a great win for Verstappen. It really was. People were going on about it, though, after qualifying yesterday. Oh, what an amazing result. No, it wasn't. Verstappen's got the quickest car in the quickest team. He's got Adrian Newey protecting his ass with the design of the car. Of course the guy should have put it on pole. I'd be worried if he didn't. You know, seriously, I'd be worried if the guy didn't. So, you know, believe me guys, he didn't pull anything special out of his ass. They just positioned Verstappen perfectly, last car past the line, and bang, he got it. You know, and don't get me wrong, it was a great win for Verstappen today. So, you know, well done to him too. Well done. Now, Ocon. Jesus Christ, that boy had one hell of a race weekend, didn't he? Jesus, a great finish, great third position for him. And look, you know, they were happy to be on the podium, and hey, you know, we'll give that to them. Why not? But yeah, guys, you know, check the highlights out, because I think they've got plenty to show you highlights-wise. Jesus, the amount of people spinning off. There was a lot of overtakes, in fairness, which Monaco is not known to be an overtaking track, guys. So that was a great surprise. We didn't expect that. I certainly didn't expect that. Jesus. And looking ahead. So look, let me just check up the... Where are we now? I'm going to check the website here now, guys. And at the moment, the championship standings. We got Max Verstappen on 144. Sergio Perez on 105, Alonso on 93. Like, you can just see, guys, there, I think, was it only like 14 points, the difference before Monaco actually started, between Verstappen and Perez. But now, Jesus, like, Verstappen's got a 39-point lead. So, look, it's still a long way to go. But Jesus, you know, you just can't afford to be losing positions like this. And look, like I said, you give it to Perez. Look, drivers make mistakes, you know. Verstappen's going to probably make some mistakes this year as well. Alonso, Hamilton, Russell, they all will, you know. So, next weekend, guys, we have another Formula One. Woohoo! It's great, isn't it, when we have when we got back-to-backs. It's great. Double headers, man. Barcelona. Great track. Very good track. They do a lot of their winter testing in Barcelona as well. It's just one of those places. I think it's in Europe. It's they need a track like that. They've got fast bends, slow bends, medium bends. It's a good track. It's a good track. It's going to be an interesting one, because you got to really get a good balance on the car now, because you got such a long straight down that main straight. Where you need obviously engine speed, so you want to reduce the downforce, but then you've got high speed bends, medium speed bends. So, you know, there's going to be a fine balance here to find the right setup. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I think. Well, we'll be back anyway next weekend, guys. We'll be back on Friday to discuss the preview of Spain for the weekend, so stay tuned for that. And I think, you know what, we'll pack it up here, guys. I think we're done for the day. One last thing, you should check out the Indy 500. I know not a lot of people are into Indy cars, Indy 500. I wouldn't be watching the races myself, I gotta be honest, but I'd always watch the Indy 500. Great one, it's the big one. It's like it's the Monaco of Indy cars, right? It's the big one. And it's interesting too, and it'll be more interesting for me, because actually my old team owner, Moraine Van Kalmthout, his son is racing today in the Indy 500. He's actually starting in second position, which is very cool. His name is Rinus VK. All right, so Rinus VK, check him out. And I think it's gonna be fun. And guys, the cars actually average, don't quote me 100%, but I think they actually average 230 miles an hour around the lap. They're averaging that. Now, I'm fairly certain it's that. Or they actually get to top speed at 230. But even if it's not averaging 230, they're close enough to that anyway. Like, these guys are flat fucking out. And it's going to be interesting too, guys, and because there's a concrete wall. If you make one slight mistake, you hit a concrete wall at 230 miles an hour. Whew, believe me, obviously you don't want to see anybody get hurt, of course. It just leads to some exciting racing, and it's the big one of the year. So that's tonight, guys. Well, actually, then again, of course, when this goes out, you'll be hearing this on Monday. So yeah, it'll be too late. But you should, you know what? Check out the highlights on YouTube. Check out the highlights on YouTube. So that's it for this week, guys, and we'll be back. We will be back next Friday with a preview of the Spanish Grand Prix. Take it easy, guys. Bye-bye.